Some people won't see your worth until you stop giving them easy access to your peace. They only start respecting you when they realize they've lost the power to disturb you. Before that, they talk over you, test your patience, throw little jabs just to see if you'll break. And because you've been polite, calm, and respectful, they think you're weak. But the truth is, you were never weak. You were just controlled. And the moment you stop entertaining their disrespect, the whole game flips. Let's be clear. When a rude person disrespects you, don't raise your voice. Don't try to match their energy. That's exactly what they want, to pull you into their storm. What you do instead, you hit them where it really hurts. With stillness, with calm, with self-respect. You make them sit with their own behavior. Because nothing cuts deeper than realizing the person you tried to provoke didn't even flinch. It's like someone trying to spit at the wind. All it does is blow back in their face. That's what your silence does. It reflects, it exposes, and it forces them to see what they've become. That's when the regret begins. Not when you fight back, but when you don't even need to. That's real power. Quiet, composed, unshaken. So the next time someone throws shade, mocks your kindness, or tries to test your limits, don't take the bait. There's a way to handle it without losing your peace or your pride. And that's exactly what we're about to break down. Not revenge, not drama, just raw control. Let's get into it. If you believe that handling disrespect with calm power is a lesson more people need to learn, then do your part. Like, subscribe, and share this video. This kind of wisdom, rooted in self-control and real strength, can change the way someone sees themselves forever. And if this message spoke to you, drop a comment below. How do you handle disrespect? Let's talk about it. Your story might help someone else take their power back today. Number 1, never let their words define you. Let them reveal themselves instead. What if their words are just a mirror and not a measure of you? Here's a truth we don't hear enough. When someone speaks with disrespect, they're not telling you who you are. They're showing you exactly who they are. But the problem is, we often take their words and carry them around like truth. Someone throws shade, mocks our effort, or belittles our existence, and we instantly go inward. Did I do something wrong? Should I speak up? Should I defend myself? But pause, because here's where Stoic clarity steps in. Epictetus said, "If someone speaks ill of you, don't defend yourself. Simply say, 'He was unaware of my other faults,' or 'he would not have mentioned only these.'" In other words, if they really knew everything about you, they could have done better. But they don't. And their attempt to insult you, that's not an evaluation. That's an exposure of their own internal mess. Think about it like this. When someone throws mud at a mirror, it's not the mirror that's dirty. It's the one holding the mud. Let me tell you a story. A woman I know, we'll call her Emily, had a co-worker who constantly tried to get under her skin. Snide remarks, sarcastic digs. "Wow, must be nice to get praise for basic work," he'd say. And at first, she wanted to bite back. But one day, instead of snapping, she said calmly, "Your words say a lot about your mood today. I hope it gets better." No shade, just awareness. He froze, because nothing disarms a person faster than self-control. Here's your takeaway. Don't personalize petty behavior. It's not about you. It's about what's spilling out of them. When someone tries to insult you, don't try to match it. Just recognize what it is. A cry from someone battling themselves. You don't need to correct them. Let their words echo back. Let them hear what they sound like in the silence of your stillness. Because your worth isn't found in their opinion. And their behavior, that's all the proof you need. Number 2, Don't take offense from the weak. That's how they trap your peace. Taking offense feels like a natural reaction, right? Someone makes a slick comment, throws a little shade, or questions your worth, and immediately you feel that fire rise up. You want to clap back, defend yourself, prove them wrong. But here's the question. Why give weight to words that were never rooted in truth? Why carry the insult like it belongs to you when it came from someone who doesn't even truly see you? The truth is, when you respond to disrespect with outrage, you give it more power than it deserves. You confirm that their opinion matters when it doesn't. Most insults come from people who are already battling their own insecurities. Their words are often less about you and more about what's unhealed in them. And if their message carried wisdom, it wouldn't arrive wrapped in disrespect. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment of them." Meaning, it's not the insult itself that hurts, it's the meaning we attach to it. If you decide something is beneath you, it can't touch you. But if you treat it like a wound, it becomes one. Let me tell you about David. Every time he went for a walk in his neighborhood during the day, his neighbor would throw jabs. Must be nice to not work. Some people just don't take life seriously. At first, David was frustrated. He wanted to respond, but then it clicked. This wasn't about him. One day he simply said, "I don't take offense where none is deserved." Then he walked away. That one line shut it all down. No drama. No energy wasted. So here's the lesson. You don't have to prove anything to people who are only trying to provoke you. Don't wrestle with pettiness. Don't defend yourself against noise. The moment you stop letting their words shape your peace, you win. And nothing is louder than dignity that doesn't need to shout. Number 3. Stop mistaking loud voices for strong minds. Silence is your sharpest weapon. If they shout to feel strong, show them strength doesn't need volume. You've probably seen it. Maybe you were in a meeting, or maybe it happened in your own home. One moment, you're having a conversation, and the next, someone starts raising their voice. Suddenly, it's not about the topic anymore. It's about power, control, dominance. The louder they get, the more they try to win. But here's the truth, no one tells you loud enough. Just because someone raises their voice doesn't mean they raised the quality of their words. Noise isn't wisdom. Volume isn't value. People who shout often do it to cover something. They don't feel heard, or worse, they know they don't have a strong point. So they trade substance for sound. But when you don't flinch, when you remain calm and grounded, you flip the power dynamic. You remind everyone in the room, real strength whispers, it doesn't scream. Mark Twain once said, "Noise proves nothing." Often a hen who has merely laid an egg cackles as if she laid an asteroid. In other words, the loudest person is often the most insecure. And when you stay composed, when you don't take the bait, their noise just starts to sound like noise. Let me tell you a story. A man I know, Eric, once sat through a tense team meeting where a coworker started yelling to dominate the room, interrupting, talking over others. Eric didn't respond. He waited. And when the shouting finally paused, he looked up and said calmly, "Let's not confuse volume with value." That one sentence shut down the whole storm, not because it was loud, but because it was clear. So here's your lesson. When someone tries to overpower you with volume, don't meet them there. Speak low, speak slow. Let your clarity do what their shouting can't. Because at the end of the day, the one who holds their center always wins the room. Real power doesn't shout. It simply stands still and gets heard anyway. Number 4. When they show you their true self, believe it and walk away. Smiling. When someone shows you their true self, don't argue, just thank them and walk away. There's a certain kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't flinch, and doesn't need to prove anything. And you'll need that strength the day someone finally shows you who they really are. Not through a confession, but through their disrespect. Maybe they talk over you, mock your effort, or take credit for your work. At first, you feel the urge to explain, to fight, to defend. But here's the truth most people miss. You don't need to battle someone who's already unmasked themselves. The most powerful move, calmly looking at them and saying, "Thank you for showing me who you really are." No sarcasm, no anger, just truth. Why does it hit so hard? Because people like this thrive on your reaction. They want you to argue, cry, or break. That's how they know they got under your skin. But when you don't play their game, when you stay calm and let them sit with the truth of who they've become, it forces a mirror in front of them, one they can't look away from. Heraclitus once said, "A man's character is his fate." And when someone treats you poorly, they're not predicting your value. They're carving out their own legacy. That behavior is their burden to carry, not yours. Let me tell you about Rachel. She had a boss who constantly disrespected her, cutting her off, taking credit, all the usual tactics. She kept her head down for months. But one day, in front of the whole team, after yet another demeaning comment, she looked him straight in the eye and said, "Thank you for showing me who you really are." Then she went silent. The whole room did too. No shouting, no meltdown, just a clean boundary set with calm power. So here's your lesson. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to fight for space when someone's already exposed their true self. Let your calm be the end of the conversation. Because once someone shows you who they are, believe them, then act like it. Number 5. Cut the scene short. Say, "I don't do disrespect," and exit with power. Let's pause. You don't owe anyone a seat in your peace. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is to pause. Just stop. Look someone in the eye and say, "Let's pause. I don't engage in disrespect." That one line. It holds more power than a dozen clever comebacks. Because here's the truth, when someone throws attitude, sarcasm, or low-key jabs your way, they're not just trying to speak, they're trying to pull you in, into their chaos, into their emotional mess. And if you snap back, if you try to match their energy, they win. Why? Because now they've pulled you down to their level. Real power doesn't react. It observes. It pauses. It chooses when, where, and how to respond, or not to respond at all. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's what this is about, not letting anyone else take the wheel of your emotions. Let me tell you a story. A man I know, Daniel, was in a heated meeting with a client. The client got loud, personal, throwing insults about Daniel's work. A younger version of him might have clapped back, but not this time. Daniel stayed calm, looked him in the eye and said, "Let's pause. I don't engage in disrespect." That room, silent. That client, stunned. There was nothing left to argue. Daniel didn't need to shout. His boundary did the talking. Here's the advice. Next time someone pushes your buttons, don't give them a reaction. Give them space. Speak calmly. Let them feel the boundary, not your anger. And if they keep pushing, walk away. Because your peace is not a group activity. It's not up for grabs. The way you handle disrespect teaches others what you'll tolerate. And when you hold your standard with calm, quiet clarity, you remind them, your peace is earned, not provoked. You don't engage in disrespect, not because you're weak, but because you're far too powerful to play small. Number 6. Protect your energy. Like a fortress, never let chaos rent space in your mind. You don't get to disturb my peace. That power is mine, not yours. Here's something most people learn the hard way. Your peace is not for public access. It's not a switch anyone should be able to flip. And yet, the moment someone speaks with disrespect, we often give them exactly what they want: our attention, our reaction, our peace. But the truth, that's a choice. One you no longer need to make. Because when someone throws shade, rolls their eyes, or hides cruelty behind sarcasm, what they really want is control. They want you flustered, emotional, uncertain. They want to throw you off-center and watch you stumble. But what if instead you stood tall, steady, calm, and simply said, "You don't have the power to disturb my peace." Not with anger, not as a threat, but as a quiet fact. That's when everything shifts. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a quote, that's armor. The moment you let someone's behavior decide your mood, you've handed them the keys to your emotional home. And trust me, some people are looking for any excuse to barge in. Let me share a real story. A man I know, Jason, worked under a manager who had perfected the art of fake kindness. Always smiling, always throwing sharp jabs dressed up as helpful feedback. It used to get under Jason's skin. Until one day, after yet another passive-aggressive comment, Jason didn't react. He didn't flinch. He just smiled and said, "You don't have the power to disturb my peace." Then he walked out. No drama, no tension, just clarity. And that manager, he never had the same effect again. So here's your reminder: your peace is sacred. Protect it, guard it, reinforce it, not with noise, but with stillness. When someone tries to drag you into chaos, let them drown in the silence you leave behind. They'll regret ever trying to shake someone who cannot be moved. Number 7. Say nothing, just smile. That's how you humble a clown without lifting a finger. When a rude person tries to trigger you, say nothing, just smile. There's something deeply unsettling about a person who won't react, especially when they're being disrespected. Most rude people rely on your reaction to feel powerful. They want to see you flinch. They want to shake your energy, your focus, your self-respect. But when you give them nothing, that's when they lose the very thing they came for: control. Say nothing. Just smile. Not a fake smile, not a smug one. A calm, grounded smile that says, "I see what you're doing, and it doesn't touch me." Because here's the truth: most rude people are performers. They're not speaking to express, they're speaking to provoke. It's not even about you, it's about what's going on inside of them. They want your energy because they've lost grip on their own. But your silence? That's a mirror. And when they have to sit in it, they're forced to face their own reflection. Seneca once said, "Silence is a lesson in itself." And it is. Silence shows strength. It shows you don't need to react to prove your value. Not every comment deserves a comeback. Not every insult deserves your breath. Because your peace isn't up for auction. Let me tell you a story. A woman I know, we'll call her Hannah, was at a dinner party when someone she called a friend made a rude comment about her looks. It was loud. It was public. It was meant to humiliate. But Hannah didn't blink. She just smiled, locked eyes with the person, and said nothing. The room went silent. The joke fell flat. And the one who tried to embarrass her? They looked small, very small. That's what silence does. It takes the wind out of their sails without you ever raising your voice. So next time someone tries to provoke you, don't argue, don't explain, just smile. Let them sit in the silence they created. Because that silence, that's the sound of power shifting back to you. And real power doesn't shout. It simply outgrows the nonsense. Number 8. Don't react to provoke. Walk away calmly and let your silence speak volumes. Sometimes the greatest power move isn't loud. It's not a comeback. It's not a final word. It's the decision to walk away without giving them what they came for, a reaction. Because let's be real, rude people don't always want a fight. They want control, and they try to get it by baiting you with disrespect, sarcasm, or false concern. But when you don't give in, when you say nothing and simply leave them standing in the space they tried to fill with chaos, that's when the real message lands. Think of silence like a mirror. It reflects back everything they tried to hide. It exposes their insecurity, their immaturity, and their thirst for attention. And when you don't participate, you force them to face the weight of their own behavior, alone. There's a quote that says, "Never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig likes it." That's what reacting does. It pulls you into a pit that was never yours to begin with. And for what? To prove you're right. To win. You don't need to win an argument with someone who's already lost control of themselves. If this message spoke to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. And in the comments, tell me about a time you chose silence over reaction. What happened? Your story might be the light someone else needs right now.